My dear students, this is a part 2, paper 1 Terengganu question from question 12 to question 25. So please go through the question and please keep on practice so that you can do well in your SPM exam. Hi to all the Form 5 students, welcome back. Now we discuss question 11. This is statistic. You are given the mass of a group of students in a school. So range is defined as maximum value minus the minimum value. Or you can say as the biggest value minus the smallest value. So from the mass given, the smallest value is 34. Right, and the biggest value is 51. So range is 51 minus 34. So the answer is 17. 17. How to find the interquartile range of the mass? In order to find the interquartile range, we need to arrange the data in order. So let's arrange the data in order. Start from the smallest one is 34. Okay, followed by 38, followed by 40 and 41, and then we have 45 and 46, and then finally we have 50. 1 is the biggest value. Okay, so now we have 2, 4, 6, 7 data. So the median is defined as the data at the center, which is 41. Alright, so we will find the we actually can divide using line or systematically. So you use a line, you draw a line, passes through the middle data. So you have 3 to the right and 3 to the left. That means 41 is at the middle, and then we will divide right and left into another 2 groups. So we have 4 groups in fact. So the first quartile is actually 38, and the Q3 is 46. So the interquartile range is defined as Q3 minus Q1. So we will just find the difference between them. 46 minus 38. So the interquartile range for the mass of the student is 46 minus 38, which is equivalent to 8. So the answer for interquartile range is 8. Alright, now we have solved the statistic. Alright, now let's see another statistics question. A bag contains of 6 cards labeled 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. A card is taken from the bag and recorded and then replaced back. So the frequency is recorded down, and the card is labeled as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the total frequency is given for T, so let's add up all together. 3 plus 4 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 11. It should be equal to 40. Alright, so when you're repeating, that means that is frequency, is number of times the card appear. So A is you have to simplify the number 32 equal to 40. That means A is 40 minus 32, which is 8. So it's quite simple if you understand the question. In order to find the standard deviation, okay, you need to copy down the formula if you can't memorize. The formula is, for standard deviation, it comes with the square root. Okay, square root summation of data square over number of data minus mean square. So beginning, we have to list out our score, and then we have to square our score, and then we have to times to the frequency. Alright, frequency times the score square. It doesn't mean that frequency score and then square. Alright, please bear in mind, this is a very common mistake. So frequency do not square, only the score, the marks you square. Okay, and sum of the frequency times the score square. Okay, and sum of the frequency times the score over the number of data, that is mean. So we have to find the data square. We have to find summation of frequency times the data square. Okay, then we have to find the mean, and then only we can substitute into the formula. Alright, so the formula for standard deviation, you can copy from the formula list. Okay, it's given, but there are many types. I think there are 3 types. So you should copy the one with the summation of frequency times the x square over summation of frequency, and then minus summation of frequency times the x over summation of frequency, and the whole thing square, that is the mean square, and then finally you need to square root. Okay, so now we need to sum up the data frequency times the data square. So I'm going to take the score square then times the frequency to avoid the confusion that you might think that is fx, the whole thing square. In fact, it's x square times the frequency, or frequency times the x square. So we don't square the frequency, right? So it's 1 square times 4 plus the 2 square times 9 plus the 3 square times 5, and so on and so forth, plus the 4 square times 8 and 5 square times 11. So your summation of frequency times the score square is 488, and then we have to find the summation of the frequency times the score, which is summation of fx. So you take 1 times 4 plus 2 times 9 plus 3 times 5 plus 4 times 8 plus 5 times 11, then you divide by total frequency 40, and then you get a mean 3.10, right? Okay, then only you substitute into the standard deviation formula, which is 488 divided by 40 over mean is 3.10. Square it, and then you square root the whole thing in order to get standard deviation. Without square root, that is called variance. So after you square root, that is called standard deviation, and the answer must be in 4 significant figure. So it's 1.609. So for statistics, you must do fast and accurate. Fast and accurate. So you need to practice more until you can get the answer fast and accurate. Alright. Now I just want to remind you that frequency times the x square is not equal to fx, the whole thing square. Alright. So it's x square times f, or f times x square. Bear in mind that frequency never square. Okay, that's about the statistic. Now we're going to talk about the circular measure. You're asking to find the angle POQ. So you can see there is a triangle, right? So that means the total internal angle for triangle is 180 degree, and 180 degree must be written in pi, radian. So we have to find the angle POQ in radian. So x is pi minus 1.6. So your answer can leave it in decimal if you want. Okay, you can write 3.142 minus 1.6. So finally your answer for x must be in 4 significant figure. Alright, so that is the answer. After you press your calculator, you will get the answer for x, that is the angle for POQ in radian. Alright, so now we need to solve for the next one, which is the arc length of PRQ. The arc length of PRQ is the major arc length. Okay, so the major arc length, we have to find the major angle which is subtended by the arc length. Okay, but let's solve the x first. Is 1.542. For the major arc length, the angle subtended is also major angle corresponding to the major arc. So you have to take 360, the one in purple color. 360 degree is equivalent to 2 pi. So you minus out 1.542. That is the angle subtended by the major arc. Okay, so then you can just use s equal to r theta, right? Alright, so that let's see how to do for the part B. So okay, so s is r theta, so the radius is given 6, and the theta, make sure you write 2 pi minus 1.542. Alright, so your answer for the major arc length, you must use a radius times with the angle, 2 pi minus 1.542. So your answer is 28.45 centimeter. Alright, this is major arc length. So remember, the angle must be angle subtended by the arc length. Okay, so let's continue with number 14. Diagram 5 shows a regular hexagon in a circle with a center N. State angle PMO in terms of pi radian, and then express the shaded region in terms of J, where J is the radius of the circle. Okay, so let's have a look of the hexagon. Okay, you must aware that hexagon is regular, which means that all the sides are equal length. It also means that the radius are equal for all the are equivalent to the side of the regular hexagon. So it means that the triangle are equilateral triangle, so they are having all the sides are equal because the radius are equivalent to the length of sides of regular hexagon. So with that, we can conclude that the angle for each of the angle in the triangle is 60 degree. So that means the angle that we need to calculate is 120 degree, and we convert to radian by multiply with pi over 180 degree. So we got 2 over 3 pi radian. Next, we will find the area for the shaded region, which are actually segments. So we will find the area of the sector and then minus the area of the triangle. So let's draw out the sector. So this is a part of the segment. So angle is 60 degree. We need to convert to radian, which is pi over 3. And the area for segment is labeled as AX. AX is area of segment is 102j squared times 60 degree. We need to convert to pi radian, which is pi over 3. We take 60 times pi over 180, so conversion to radian. Okay, this is actually area for the sector minus the area of the triangle, which is half AB sine C, right? Sine C, C is 60. A is the radius, B is also radius. So your answer, you have to times 2 because there are two shaded region for the segment. So the final answer, you can write pi over 3j squared minus square root 3 over 2. Okay, j with a pi over 3j squared minus square root 3 over 2j squared, or you can write as pi over 3j squared minus square root 3 over 2j squared with the simplification by use of calculator. So you can write your answer in terms of how many j squared, right? Okay, so for this question is given f prime x. So the f prime x means that you have to do differentiation. So it is the chain rule. So you have to do according to the chain rule. Bring the power to in front times the a, then 2k minus 1. Power reduced by 1 become 4, and don't forget to differentiate inside the bracket. So after you differentiate, you have 10a bracket 2k minus 1 to the power 4, and then you equate to the one that I underline in green color. Okay, you equate them and then you do comparison. So then you can solve your a. Your 10a should be equivalent to the answer given 20, right? And then the power is obviously, you can see the p is 4, right? The b of p, the b is 4, and the a, the 10a equal to 20. Okay, so the power you can compare, and the a 10a you can compare with the 20. So the a obviously is 2 because 10a equal to 20, right? So your a is 2, and then you have to convert, you have to do comparison for the b. So b is a power, so b is equivalent to 4, right? So it's quite easy, just using the chain rule. So don't forget, you have to use the chain rule. Alright, this is about the differentiation. We have another one which actually also about gradient function. Remember that gradient function is dy dx. Okay, the moment you see gradient function is not y. Function is y. Gradient is dy dx because it's gradient function. So you have to start with the dy dx equal to the one given, which is px squared minus qx. So the moment you read the question, you see gradient function, you write down dy dx, and then I'm sure they give you the point, so we always use the x given. You substitute into the dy dx, and there's a word turning point. When you see turning point, dy dx must be equal to 0. So you substitute dy dx equal to 0. You substitute x equal to 3 into the px squared into the x minus the q times the 3, and you have a equation. Okay, so you can simplify p in terms of q or q in terms of p, and later they will give you another information, I'm sure, for you to come up with another equation. So they will say the gradient of the tangent, right? If they say gradient of tangent is also dy dx. So the gradient of tangent, it means that dy dx is given 8 when x equal to -1. So you use the information. Okay, when you see turning point, you let dy dx equal to 0. Okay, when they say gradient of tangent, you must find the gradient of tangent given. They say 8. It cannot be 0. Only when there is a turning point, dy dx is equal to 0, because turning point, as you know, at the turning point, you can draw a straight line, horizontal line. So the gradient of horizontal line is 0, isn't it? Alright, so based on turning point, we can actually substitute the 3 because the turning point happened at x equal to 3. So you substitute, then you will get an equation 9p, right? 9p minus 3q. Be careful, the q looks at 9. Sometimes in exam you are panic, your q look become 9. Alright, so you have one equation already. Then formula dy dx. Okay, I highlight in blue color. Gradient of tangent, it means dy dx. And the dy dx is given 8. Alright, 8. So you don't let it equal to 0 because they say the gradient of tangent is 8. So now we come up with another equation by using 8 equal to p negative 1 square minus q negative 1. So be careful with the negative. So now you need to solve carefully. This is p plus q equal to 8. So just now we have q equal to 3p, isn't it? So you can sub into equation number 2. So sub 1 into 2, then you will get p plus 3p equal to 8, right? Because your q is 3p, right? Okay, so you have 4p, right? P plus 3p equal to 8. So 4p equal to 8. So p equal to 2. Then how to find your q? I'm sure you got no problem. Q is 3 times 2. So then you solve the p and q. Now for this question, for AP, the 6th term, whenever you see 6th term, you will write a plus 5d. And okay, so when you see information given, T6, they give you 47, you write down one equation. Again, you will expect another equation. They say sum, so it's as 10. So 10 over 2 times 2a plus 9d, remember n minus 1d, equal to 410. And you simplify, okay, you simplify the equation and you solve it simultaneously. I'm sure you can get the answer for a and d, right? So the a is first term and d is common difference. So you can use elimination, number 1 times 2. So you got 2a plus 10d. That's called number 3. Then you will eliminate with the equation number 2. You will eliminate the 2a. So 10d minus 9d left d only, right? 94 minus 82, you get 12, right? So your d is 12. And from the d, which is 12, you can substitute into equation number 1 or any one to get the value of a, right? So your a is 47 minus 60, which is negative 13. Right, this one is quite simple. The next one is about the geometric progression. You are given 3 consecutive terms. So when you see GP, always take the second term, the following term over the previous term. Okay, find the ratio and then find the third term over the second term, another ratio, and then you equate them, make it the same. They are equal. So T2 over T1 equal to T3 over T2, and then you cross multiply. And because we want y as a subject, so you remain your y plus 5 at the left hand side. So you become 64 over x. Then y remain at the left, so the 5 bring over to the right, become y minus 6. Y equal to 64 over x minus 5. Or you can make the denominator the same. Y equal to 64 minus 5x over x also can. Alright, this is the answer for y in terms of the x. Okay, so please follow the instruction of the question, y in terms of the x. Okay, the question says if y equal to negative 1, find sum to infinity. So we will substitute 64 over x minus 5 equal to negative 1. Then 64 over x equal to negative 1 plus 5. So that means 4x equal to 64. That means x is equivalent to 1/6, right? So with that, we can list out the 3 terms. And then we can find sum to infinity, right? And then we assume that the first term is our x, which is 16, so we use a sum to infinity. Okay, let's see, first term is 16, second term 8, and then third term is 4. So our common ratio will be 8 over 16, or 4 over 8, which is 1 over 2, okay, which is less than 1. For sum to infinity, r must be less than 1. So sum to infinity, the formula is a over 1 minus r, so 16 over 1 minus half. So sum to infinity is equivalent to 32. So this is quite simple, right, for the GP. Okay, for this one is integration, but it's application to the area. So now let's have a look of this question. Now we are having the two type of the one is curve, one is straight line. So area under the curve and area under the straight line. So we have two area, and the area for the two shaded region P and Q is given 10 units square. So we will find the area of the P. So we will take area for the curve minus area for the straight line for the same limit from 0 to k. That's how you express in terms of integration symbol, okay, with the definite integrals, okay, with the 0 to k is a limit and dx. So now we want to find the area. We need to solve the k. Okay, in order to solve the k, we must know that because the area for P is 6, right? So that means area for the triangle will be 4, isn't it? So that means we just integrate the straight line, integrate the 2k. I mean integrate the 2x, you will get the area which is equivalent to 4, because area for the P is given 6. So area for the Q will be 4 because the P plus Q is 10, isn't it? So that means area for the triangle is equal to 4. So we just integrate the 2x. Okay, you can find the base and height if you want, but you can integrate is faster, isn't it? So now I will write down the integral sign for 2x dx from 0 to k equal to 4. Right, then I will integrate and sub the limit k inside, then I can solve my k. Agree? So let's see how to do. So now I'm going to show you how to do for the next one. Okay, so I will just have to integrate the 2x or 2. So now I integrate 2x dx from 0 to k. So I will get 4, okay, area is 4, so 2x squared over 2 from 0 to k equal to 4, so I will substitute k squared equal to 4, alright, so I will solve the k is 2, so okay, so k is positive 2, so that is the answer for k, and k equal to negative 2, you need to reject, because that is not acceptable value. Okay, so now k is 2. So we have solved the most challenging question. Now we go to the another one, which is question 21. So you're asking to explain how the values of P and the value of Q can be obtained from a straight line. Okay, so now first of all we look at the equation. We need to multiply by we need to get rid one of the terms so that it will be a constant, so we have to get rid of the x from the second term. So I will times with the x for everyone. I will times the 2x because I have the denominator 2. So I times 2x, I will get xy equal to 2p minus 2q over x, right? So you simplify carefully, you get the answer xy equal to 2p minus 2q over x. There's a 2 missing out there. 2q over x. So please write down the negative 2q. Okay, so xy equal to negative 2q times 1 over x plus 2p, meaning that your gradient is negative 2q, and your this there is a 2q, okay, and then your y-intercept is c, which is 2p. So okay, c is 2p, so your gradient is negative 2q. So you have to plot the big Y vertical axis as xy against the 1 over x, and the gradient you obtain is negative 2q, and the y-intercept is 2p. Alright, so this is how you plot a straight line so that you can solve your constant, okay, by comparing with the gradient and the y-intercept. Okay, for this one, vector is very straightforward. So you're asking to write the vector in terms of vector column. So you just draw a triangle, okay, triangle law. So it's just follow the x-axis and the y-axis. To the right is positive, upward is positive. So 3, 4 vector column. And you're also asking to write the vector AB. So if you want to write vector AB, since you are given the point, you can actually use a matrix if you want, okay, but you have to write the triangle law. AB equal to AO plus OB. So the AO you need to reverse because you are given OA. Alright, so normally we can write as negative OA. So we will substitute the point into the vector. Okay, we can write in matrix form. OB is 7, 5, and then OA is 3, 4. Alright, so we can simplify. We get 4 and 1, but we have to write in terms of I and j. So it's 4i plus j. Okay, so your answer must be in terms of I and j. It's 4i plus j. Alright, so next one is about the parallel vector. So for parallel vector, A equal to KB, so we will just substitute the vector and then we will solve the constant, okay, K. So because A and B are vector, so we will substitute and then we will solve accordingly. So your vector A copy down is equal to K, vector B you also copy. Alright, so then after that, okay, we highlight the one that we want to compare. That means 9 is equal to 3k, right? And then the r minus 2 is equal to k times 1 over 2. Okay, let me highlight in green color. 9 is equal to 3k. And then the other one, I will highlight r minus 2 is equal to k times half. You using another color, so that means you can come up with the two equation. R minus 2 equal to k times half, inclusive of the k. So when you write down the equation, you can solve the k equal to 3 and then you substitute into the second equation, so you can solve your r, right? So your r minus 2 equal to 3 times 1 over 2. So your r is 3 over 2 plus 2. So then your r is 3.5, or you can write as 7 over 2. That is the final answer for the r. Okay, so for parallel vector, you have to make sure you remember the concept that the two vectors can be related by a ratio. Okay, same thing applies to collinear vector. Parallel vector, collinear vector are using the same concept. Okay, this is actually about the trigo equation, which is quite simple. So you just convert sine square x to 1 minus cos square x by using basic identities. Still remember? So then you will have to bring everything to the right. So make sure you get a quadratic equation for the cos square x minus 2 cos x, and then minus 3, right? That is minus 1 minus 3. Then you need to factorize. Okay, factorize. If you can't factorize, you can, let's say your cos x is an unknown, then make it simplified, then you factorize. But I think it's quite simple. So cos x plus 3, cos x minus 1 equal to 0. So you can key in into your calculator. A is 1, B is 2, C is negative 3. Alright, then you solve it. Cos x equal to negative 3, no solution, because for sine and cos, your answer more than 1 is no solution. Okay, so we will solve only the other side. Cos x minus 1 equal to 0. Okay, for this one, cos x equal to negative 3x got no solutions, so you don't have to find the solution. So cos x minus 1 is equal to 0, cos x equal to 1. So the x will be 0 and 360 degrees for 0 to 2 pi for the range of the value of x. Right, so it's 0 and 360 degrees. Finally, question 25. You're given a sine x equal to k. Just now is trigo equation. This one is trigo function. For trigo function, you draw a triangle, a right angle triangle at the quadrant given. 0 to 90. So you should be very happy because 0 to 90 or positive, happy. So 0 to 90 is at the first quadrant. So all the angle for sine, cos and tangent are positive at the first quadrant. So we will draw the right angle triangle, and then you need to label all the side. Okay, because they give you sine x equal to k, means the opposite is k and hypotenuse is 1. So you find the adjacent using Pythagoras theorem. 1 square minus k square, but you will have to simplify the 1 square become 1 minus k square. Do not leave your answer in 1 square. That is not the simplest answer. So 1 minus k square is the adjacent side. Now the question is asking for sine negative x. Negative x is the angle that opposite direction with the x is in fourth quadrant. So for sine is negative, right? So you have to remember for sine negative x is negative k over 1, right? So it should be negative k because the length for the y is actually negative k going down. So as you know, the sign is always negative in the fourth quadrant, and the second x is 1 over cos x, right? And cos x is adjacent over hypotenuse, isn't it? So you just read from the triangle is square root 1 minus k square over 1. So it's actually 1 over square root 1 minus k square. Yeah, this is the right way. So I managed to discuss all the 25 questions for paper 1 Terengganu. So see you for the next stage paper. I will try to upload as many as I can. Bye. Have a nice day.